This is Trophy Gold, The Rot Beneath Winterbrook Part 1. Let's start by having us all introduce ourselves. When I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you would like for us to know about you. I'll start. My name is Jason. I use he, him. I am the co-publisher of Trophy Gold along with the game's creator, Jesse Ross, and I'm very excited to be to be running this game for new people today. Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda. My pronouns are she, her, and I am very excited to get my hardcover trophy books in the mail later this week. They're supposed to arrive in a couple of days. I'm happy to play Trophy here today with everybody. If you are interested, you can support the Gauntlet on Patreon if you aren't already at the $6 level, and you can grab my Brindlewood Bay Bird Show Mystery, Murder Most Foul. It's super fun, if I do say so myself.
It is indeed. Thank you so much. And Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark. My pronouns are he and them. I am excited to play Trophy Gold with y'all, and I'm excited to read the hardcover books that are very pretty that I got last week. And maybe make my own slipcase since I missed that part.
No. Thank you so much, Dog.
Hey everybody, my name's Dog. My pronouns are he, him, and I play a lot of Power of the Apocalypse games. Never played a Trophy Gold game before, so I'm excited about that. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for coming. And finally, Devin.
My name's Devin, he, him. I am a speech pathologist and I like games. And the reason I'm here is because I'm Amanda's partner and people have been nice enough to let me come along. So if I'm teasing her, digital viewer, just know that I'm not bullying. I am not just a bully. We tease. That's part of our relationship. Isn't that right, hun?
Sure. No, I'm kidding.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and run through CATS. CATS is an acronym that stands for Concept, Aim, Tone, and Subject Matter. I like to do this at the beginning of a series in order to establish some basic expectations for what we're going to be doing today and over the next few weeks. And so I'll start with concept. Trophy Gold is a game about desperate treasure hunters going into the lost and forgotten places of the world in order to acquire treasures in order to fund some very expensive drive that they have. They are desperate treasure hunters. They are always on the knife's edge of being plunged into calamitous, irredeemable poverty. And so they do this hard, grisly work because they are driven by this hubris, basically, this drive that forces them to do this. It's very much in the sort of like model of like kind of classic adventure games, like old school kind of Dungeons and Dragons type games. But in terms of gameplay, it is a collaborative storytelling game. And so that's a little bit about Trophy Gold. This particular module is called The Rot Beneath Winterbrook. And I don't want to say too much about it. It is a very gnarly module. So just know that it is a grisly, gnarly ass horror module. But we're not going to get to that until probably like the end of next week. I've got something else prepared for you until then. I have prepared a little mini scenario using the Trophy Loom materials that are not directly connected to the Rot Beneath Winterbrook, but they have there's a thematic connection between them. And so that's the concept. The aim of us as a play group is to, after I'm done with my spiel, we'll make characters, then we'll introduce them. I will go over a few key gameplay things that I want you to know, and then we'll start playing. At the end of the session, we'll do a debrief. Next week and every week thereafter, we'll just start playing, and then we'll do a debrief at the end. The aim of us as individual players is to tell a good story. That's really, really key here. Do your best to keep your character alive, but at a certain point, you may not be able to anymore. And if that's the case, just lean into it and give us the best possible downfall, the best spiral, the best end you can give us. We call this at Trophy HQ the play to win and play to lose ethos. So play to win, but then you might have to play to lose, and that's okay too. In terms of our goal as your character's goals, Your treasure hunter's goal is to find treasure. That is the main thing you want to be doing as a player character, and the story will flow from there if you're trying to find treasure. Okay. The tone of Trophy Gold in general is there's some adventurous elements, but it's pretty dark as well. This particular incursion is extremely dark, and this little mini scenario I've prepared is not quite as dark as the main module, but it's still got some darkness. So I think dark, mysterious tone is kind of what we're going for this series. In terms of subject matter, the only subject matter thing that I think I probably want to highlight in terms of the Rot Beneath Winterbrook is cannibalism. It's kind of unavoidably a thing in the scenario. And so just kind of be aware of that. In terms of safety tools, we'll have 3 safety tools on the table for this series. The first is the open door policy. You can leave for any reason. You don't have to explain yourself. The second is the X card. The way the X card works is if something happens in the game that makes you uncomfortable in an unfun way, you can say X card or type it in the chat, and I will stop play and we'll just adjust whatever we need to adjust so that we're all cool. I might ask you what is being X carded for clarification, but I won't ask why. The third tool we're going to have on the table is roaming lines and veils. Lines and veils are... So lines are things that we're just not going to have in the game. So I'll just say a line right now. We're not going to have sexual violence. That's not a thing we're going to do in the game. Okay. And so that's just X'd out completely in the story. Veils are things that we're okay with being in the game, but we prefer not to role play it. So my typical veil is torture. I'm okay with torture being a thing that happens in the story. I just prefer not to role play the torture. Roaming lines and veils means we are not going to settle on our lines and veils to start. As we're playing, you can add to the lines and veils sheet. If you anticipate something coming up in the story that you don't want to do, then we can line it or veil it at that time. And so that is that's all of Cats. Do you all have any questions about any of that? Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording so we can make characters. Okay, we have characters. Let's go in the order of the sheet. Please introduce your character by name, occupation, background, and drive. Let's start with Sybil.
I'm going to be playing Sybil. Her pronouns are she, her. I am bringing her back from our Heart Hums in Darkness Trophy Gold game. So she does have a little bit more experience than some of these other people. Her occupation is herbalist. Her background is imprecise barber. And her drive is bribe the Justicars so they erase her crimes.
Anything you want to share about those crimes before we start?
They might involve a little bit of murder of rich people, specifically the rich people whose estate she worked at, but that's about it for now.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Great. I love it. Let's go over to Mark and Obeha.
Yeah. Obeha is a injured whaler who is now making their way as a bodyguard. Lost an eye. I think the guy whose picture I pulled is the guy who got a harpoon through the face. So I think that's what his injury was. And as a result, he can call up the winds, but it's not much good on a boat anymore.
And what's your drive?
Drive is to repay my losses to the Southern Pass Company, which I imagine
they must be great indeed. Be thinking about what happened there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Dog and Count Kalen Liadon, I guess, or Liadon.
I like that pronunciation. Yeah. Count Liadon is a magician by trade. He's a banished dancer. And his drive is the Liadon County Social Security Healthcare and Pension Fund. My goal is to convince the people of my county that the future is cheap if you pay for it today.
I love it. Good. And so a fresh infusion of funds will help go a long way, I guess, towards
it is
hemorrhaging
that. It is hemorrhaging money. Yes.
Indeed. I love it. Great. So you're a count. Like, are you an actual count, or is that just like an affectation?
No, I'm an actual count.
Okay, great. I love it. All right, good. And let's finally go over to Devin and Akale.
Yes, Akale is she her. She is an escaped cultist. Her drive is to inscribe her mother's name in the Azure archives. And she's also a geomancer. So I think probably the deal was her mother was a noble, not like a princess or anything, but a noble, which allowed her to get access to like university training that she probably wouldn't have if she weren't a noble, and she was really interested in engineering. Her mother taught her daughter a lot about engineering and geomancy and how rocks and stone work. Her mother ended up having to marry this dude who ended up founding a cult and using some of the money to found this crazy cult. And so her whole family line has been, she's been excised from her royal family. Her mother and all of her mother's generations after her. So she would like to do something worthy enough to have her mother be placed back into the Azure archives.
I love it. Thank you. All right, great. Let's go ahead and I want to talk about just a few gameplay aspects of Trophy Gold, since we do have a couple of new players here. So the first thing you should know is that this is a collaborative storytelling game. I have a module in Trophy parlance, we call it an incursion. I have an incursion, and the incursion has lots of like information in it that I will use to react to how things are going and to generally move the story along. But a lot of the details of the story are for you, all of us together as a play group to sort of fill in, right? I like to say that the incursion is the skeleton of the story, and we get to put the delicious meat and blood onto the skeleton as we play. There are different ways that happens in the game. One of the ways that you get to help create the story in the world is I will pose questions to you. I will pose lots of questions to you as we play. Answering those questions helps build out the story. If you are unsure about the answer to a question, I always recommend taking a look at your drive and thinking about what the question means through the lens of your drive. That usually helps you get to the right answer. The other way that we sort of collaboratively tell the story is that there's a die procedure called the risk roll, and whenever we roll the dice for this risk roll, which is to basically just whenever you have to like do something dangerous, right, there's a part of it that's called the devil's bargain. And the devil's bargain is a thing you can accept from the other players or myself in order to get more dice on your die roll, right, in order to have a better chance of succeeding. And the devil's bargain is a thing that happens no matter what, whether you succeed or fail at the roll, right? And so, as an example of what I mean by that, let's say that Akale is trying to jump across a ravine, right? And as a devil's bargain, I say to Akale, well, Akale, no matter what, you're going to drop your curved ritual knife down in the ravine. And so if you succeed at the roll, you jump the ravine, but your knife just kind of slipped out of your pocket or whatever. If you fail at the roll, it's because Akale also falls down the ravine, right? So the knife is going down with Akale. That's a pretty simple devil's bargain, and sometimes simple is good. But Amanda, of course, is going to offer a much more interesting devil's bargain. And Amanda says, no matter what, a representative of the cult you escaped is on the other side of the ravine, right? Now, that's a very, very interesting devil's bargain because it implicates Akale's drive, right? And it introduces something into the story that we hadn't anticipated before. And so it's then on myself and the rest of us to sort of incorporate this new detail into the story if Akale accepts that devil's bargain. And so that's kind of how devil's bargains work. It's a chance for you to sort of speak possibilities aloud, and players can either take them or leave them. Another way that you kind of help build the story is you are frequently asked to say what you think could go wrong. Like whenever dice are getting ready to be rolled, I'll ask, what do we think could go wrong here? And everyone gets to say, well, I think this could go wrong, or this could go wrong. And that discussion is kind of also how we help build the story together. So that's kind of the deal there. The other gameplay thing I want to talk about before we begin is Trophy Gold has this really interesting mechanical framework called sets and set goals. So your characters are always in a set, S-E-T, and each set always has a goal. The goal can be something that is a thing that your characters are aware of, like goal, find the access to the dungeon or whatever, right? Find the vault entrance or whatever. Or it can be something that is more of an out of character goal that we are concerned with as players more than the characters are concerned with. So for example, learn the secret history of this castle, right? That could be an interesting set goal. The set goals are sort of like what you play towards, and they can be accomplished in two different ways. One, you can just accomplish it because you just happen to discover it. You just happen to talk to the right character who tells you the history of the secret castle, or you just happen to stumble onto the entrance to the vault, in which case, success. Or alternatively, you can spend a resource in the game called the Hunt Roll Token. And you'll see on your little character keeper, there's a section for hunt tokens up there. You'll be collecting these hunt tokens. The hunt tokens can be used in two different ways. They can be pooled together and spent 3 at a time in order to automatically achieve a set goal. So if you have your backs up against the wall and you just need to move on, you might decide as a group to spend 3 hunt tokens to automatically find the vault entrance. Okay, and so that would be might be why you do it. But the hunt tokens can be used in another really important way too, though. You can spend a hunt token whenever you want to find treasure. So your character's goal, I'll remind you, is to be collecting treasure because you have burdens and you have to meet the burdens before your character goes back home. Otherwise, the character retires from play. And so you can spend your token to automatically find a treasure. And so like you can just say, hey, while I'm here, I'm going to see if I can find a treasure. And you spend the token and boom, you get something. So the hunt tokens are a resource that you'll be collecting as we play, and you'll have to kind of use somewhat strategically in terms of spending them. And I think that's all I'm going to talk about for now in terms of gameplay. The rest we can learn as we go. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and introduce this first little mini scenario, and then we'll take a 5-minute break and we'll come back and get started. But to begin, the 4 of you are in a very inhospitable wilderness. It looks a lot like my background. It is snowy and cold, and the wind is whipping up pretty strongly right now. You are all here for one purpose. Well, you have your constant purpose of finding valuables, but your other purpose is you are tracking down a man called Sindhu. Sindhu murdered a Lavasti lord called Bracken. And Lord Bracken's son, perhaps an acquaintance of yours, Count Kalen, Lord Bracken's son has hired the 4 of you to track down this killer, Sindhu, and bring him Sindhu's head. You have been on the road for a couple of weeks now, and you have managed to figure out where Sindhu is. He is in a cabin in a remote part of a remote wood. And we see you in a clearing in the forest approaching that cabin. And that's where we're going to begin when we get back from a 5-minute break. I'll see you in 5. Based off of your skills, which 2 of you would be most likely to be scouting ahead?
Definitely Obeha, for sure. Hunting.
You have hunting, yeah, I'll take it. Who else?
Oh, I suppose I would. Perception.
Very good. Sybil and Obeha, you arrive first in this clearing. The other 2 are not too far behind, but you are there. And Sindhu is waiting on you. He's been hiding out in this cabin. You see the cabin behind him. He's sort of there in the snowy yard. He is wearing a heavy cloak. It is getting cold. The wind is whipping up and the snow is whipping up. And he sort of calls out to the two of you and says, I was wondering how long it would take for young Lord Bracken's dogs to come find me.
Are you gonna come quietly then? Or we gotta do this hard way?
I choose the hard way. And he kind of smiles. And his mouth unfolds. And his teeth peel back so that they move almost like mandibles. And his right eye, even in the wind that's whipping up, you can hear this wet squelching sound as the eye pushes out of the socket onto a stalk. And so he has an eye on a stalk and his toothy maw, and he drops his cloak to reveal that his left arm is an enormous crab claw. And he just lunges at the two of you. We're going to do a combat. The other two can join the combat in a bit, but for now it's just the two of you. Sindhu is an endurance 8. And the way this works is, first of all, the two of you have to say how you are vulnerable in this moment. Oh, we didn't need a dice roller, don't we? You have to say how you're vulnerable in this moment, and then roll a weak point. The weak point is important for the combat. Here's a die roller. See if that works. Am I going to have to generate a new room?
I think so.
Okay, I'll generate a new one. Hold on. There we go. All right, let's try this now. There we go. So, Obeha, how are you vulnerable right now?
I think Obeha was expecting a little bit of back and forth and some negotiation and was just caught unawares.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
And roll your weak point. What's your weak point? A weak point is just a single light die.
Weak point is going to be a 5.
Okay, so 5 is your weak point. And Sybil, how are you vulnerable?
I'm a half decent fighter, but I did not expect to be fighting a crab person here in the wilderness. I thought this was going to be a little easier.
Fair enough. Go ahead and roll a weak point. A 3. So the way this works is there's a single die roll for the combat. It's a pooled die roll. You each get to contribute 1 die to it to start. And we add up the 2 highest dice every time. And if that equals 8, which is Sindhu's endurance, then you win. If any of the dice come up one of your weak points, you take a hit. And so, Obeha, you can roll the first combat. It is a combat 2. And so let's see how that goes.
Combat roll hitting 2 dark dice there.
You just click on it and just 2.
Yeah,
you know.
cool.
Okay, it's a 5 and a
Weak
1,
point.
which is a 6. That is not enough, and Obeha gets hit as well. So we narrate the first bit of the combat, and then we keep going. So Obeha, start off the combat. What does it look like?
I think when he starts charging, kind of like I'm fumbling to get my broken harpoon that I kind of use as like a little javelin, like ready to engage, and I'm not ready, and he just grabs me with his big old claw.
Are you going to take the hit, or are you going to mark armor?
I think I'm gonna take the hit.
All right. So he's got you in the claw, and he's just like scissoring, and I think he actually cracks one of your ribs. So I'm going to, in addition to your ruin increase, you take a condition, cracked rib.
All right.
And Sybil, keep the combat going. You can't defeat him yet, but what do you do?
I pull down my face shield, and it's strange. Like, it is metal, but there's some leather over it, and it looks like, strangely, like a weird human face with tanned skin but dark black stripes and a single amber eye. And I lunge. I have a hand sickle, and I lunge to try and take his claw off.
And I think you're just hacking at the claw, but you can't get any purchase on it yet. Akale and Kalen, you hear the commotion. It's about maybe, it's not very far, maybe like a couple 100 yards away. You hear the commotion, and coming from the other side of the tree line, which is where the cabin is. What do the two of you do?
Probably run forward. Can I see the cabin from here?
Absolutely. You can see the combat happening from here.
I would like to cast sleep on this guy if that's possible.
Absolutely. Akale, what are you going to do? Oh, you're muted on the Zoom. Sorry.
Yeah, unmute. There we go. I think she just gathers her skirts up in her non-dominant hand, and just starts running with her little sickle sword out.
Nice. Akale runs up. Kalen is casting a ritual, and so, but in any case, Sindhu sees that you have backup coming, and he's kind of looks at the two of you and he says, perhaps the numbers are not as in my favor as I thought. Clearly not concerned about just the two of you. And he pulls from his neck a little pouch, and he tosses the pouch on the ground. And a bunch of little tiny spider-sized glowing blue crabs skitter out onto the snow. They grow in size very rapidly. And now, Akale, you have a little phalanx of blue spectral crabs crawling in your direction. Kalen, though, the sleep spell is interesting. Rituals in combat, what you can do is reduce his endurance so that he is easier to kill. And so we do a risk roll. We do kind of a fast and dirty risk roll to see if you can succeed. I will say that there's a possibility that basically the ritual backfires and you fall asleep. And so because you're casting in a hurry. But Mark, give us a devil's bargain.
I think the devil's bargain is no matter what happens, and this is Kalen doing it.
Correct.
That's right.
I think when no matter what happens, when Sindhu sees Kalen pulling out the magic, he starts focusing his attention on him instead of us, who are clearly no problem.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. So that's pretty good. So no matter what, Sindhu, maybe the crabs, I think.
Yeah.
The crabs focus on Kalen. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense in the scene.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, Dog. You have one light die because you have a skill called rituals. So straight away, you're getting your first light die on this roll, with this risk roll. You get a second light die if you accept Mark's offer that the crabs will focus on you. Do you accept that or no?
I would prefer not to accept it. Can I put life and limb on the line for a third one? Do I have that correct?
You can get a dark die, yeah, if you want to take a dark die instead. You have to do a dark die anyway because of the ritual, so yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that then.
All right, so just roll a risk, go to the risk roll and do one light, one dark.
Is this on the character sheet?
It's that link I just put in the chat?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I create room? Sorry about that.
Just click on that link and you should be able to just join straight away by clicking on that the second link, not the first one I posted. Do the second one.
I see. Ask me for my display name. Do I write that down?
Yeah, just fine. Yeah. All right, you're good to go. Go ahead and go up to this little on the left-hand side. It says risk. Just click on that and do 1 light, 1 dark.
There we go. Appreciate it. I get a 2 3s.
2 3s. So, what is your current ruin right now? 3. So your ruin doesn't go up. That's good. But because dark is high, whenever it's tied, it's high. You stop and you fail. So a 3 is a failure. Akale, this is bad news because Kaylin, I think you go to like, what does your ritual look like, Kaylin? Like, do you just like say some words or do you do a process? Like, what does it look like?
Just me standing there with my coat and my hair blown in the wind, eyes narrowed, looking very sad.
Yeah, I think as you're speaking whatever words you speak to try to make Sindhu fall asleep, the wind whips up and just literally blows them back at you. And you just like collapse in the snow. So now, Akale, you're surrounded by spectral crabs. Kaylin is on the ground. And Akale, your combat with the spectral crabs, they are collectively, they are a 9. Tell me how you're vulnerable, Akale. Is it as simple as you're surrounded right now, or is it worse than that?
I am surrounded right now, so there is that. I think you said they got bigger, right? Like they grew.
Yeah, they're about
bigger?
the size of dogs. Yeah.
Okay. I think that let's just add a little bit of suspense to it. I think that as they got bigger, like it's not like the snow kind of like shifts a little bit, and now maybe there's like kind of a sinkhole happening where it's just like, oh, okay, this area was not meant to have this much mass on it, and now it's kind of collapsing into itself.
I love it. Go ahead and roll a weak point. If you go to the die roller and just roll weak.
Weak.
Your weak point
My
is
weak
6.
point is 6.
And you are now in combat with them. They are a 9. You get to roll 1 die to start. Good luck getting a 9 on a 6-sided die.
Yeah. That'll be great. So that's combat, 1 die. 5.
They didn't hit your weak point, at least. So you are you're at a standstill with the spectral crabs. Describe it.
Like I think the crabs have an advantage in this, right? Because they can move like this, and they've got so many like weak point, or not like they can spread their mass out over like 6 or 8 points, where every time Akale like tries to shift, it's just like, oh no, now my right leg is sinking down a little bit more, but if I don't pivot, that one's gonna come around this way. So I think she's just like, how do I get out of here? If I could fly straight up, I could do it, but I don't have that ability.
Obeha and Sybil, you're in your second round with Sindhu. This is a combat 3 now, since it's a second round. 2 + 1. Sybil, you can roll.
Roll combat, or do I need a new weak point?
Nope, combat 3. Weak points stay the same.
Perfect.
5, 5, and 4. Does somebody have a weak point 5?
Oh, sorry, I
does.
actually I never rolled that. Should I roll it now, or am I not in combat?
No, you fell asleep. You're you're just asleep. You're actually probably the safest person right now, Kaylin.
The irony.
Yeah. Obeha and Sybil. Obeha, he is getting ready to scissor you in 2. I assume you're going to mark armor this time.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Please describe how your armor protects you from his crab claw.
I think he like opens wide, like give me another big crunch, and I use that opportunity to like wriggle out a little bit, and instead he catches my wool cloak and just like rips it from me and gets a little tangled up in it. And I'm still basically underneath him, but out of the claw.
Sybil, you get to finish him off.
I think I'm waving my hand sickle around really flaily. I am an imprecise barber and also an imprecise fighter. It's more like just trying to see if I can hit something rather than really trying to hit a specific point. And I think I just managed to get a lucky hit. And I take off his arm with the claw.
Nice.
With a
He collapses down into the snow, bleeding out rapidly. I'm going to give him a little death monologue, but first I want to deal with Akale. Akale, now you have a chance to actually beat the spider, or the crabs and spiders. You have 2 dice now on the combat, and so you have a chance of getting the 9 that you need. Go ahead and roll combat 2.
10.
6 and 4 is 10, and what was your weak point? 6.
6.
They do get 1 hit on you, but you do defeat them. Go ahead and describe it.
Oh, okay, I got it.
There's like 4 of them.
So I think, yeah. I think I think what she does is one gets a little bit too close, and it like steps on the hem of her robe, and she notices it. And so by pulling the hem of her robe, it brings it a little bit closer to her, and it also flips on its back. And she remembers she didn't grow up in like places where there was a lot of snow and hills, but she's definitely heard people talk about sledding. So she jumps on the crab and tries to like slide down the hill away from the other 2 crabs. I think it probably gets a couple of slashes and bites at her, but she like wheels around with her sickle sword as she goes through and gets it on once she's a fair enough distance away.
Legolas, the giant crabs. That's good.
Sure,
the crabs,
yeah.
As you defeat the crabs, they actually sort of like revert to their little small form, kind of twitching and dead. Kaylin, you wake up and see the others dispatching the danger. Sindhu looks up at you. His blood is spreading out around him in the snow. And he just looks up at you and he says, with his big eye stalk looming, leering, he says, Lord Bracken got what he deserved. And then he just collapses, dead. You were all promised a very handsome sum of money for bringing his head back to Lord Bracken, the new Lord Bracken. It's the equivalent of 1 gold for each of you, which in fiction terms is like a chest of silver, right? And so, but it's 1 gold for each of you in game terms, which means you're 1 gold closer to satisfying your burdens just by getting his head right now, and bringing it back. But let's just have the scene. You're there. There's the cabin. The weather is getting worse and the day is getting long, just so you know. But let's get some treasure too. Akale, roll a gold 9.
Gold 9.
That's 0.
0?
And so the little bag of magical crabs are worth nothing. And Obeha, why don't you go ahead and roll gold 8? That is also nothing. I was about to say, Kaylin, when you wake up, they're looting the bodies, but there's nothing to loot. Any case, the 4 of you are all there in the snowy yard in front of the cabin. The weather is getting bad. The sun is going down. Let's just have the scene, and then we'll pick it up as we need to. Role play.
I am profusely apologizing to everybody. I say, guys, I'm an amateur magician. I'm so sorry. I thought I tried something new. It didn't work out. I apologize.
I thought I left this nonsense behind at sea, and I should have known better. Everyone makes mistakes.
The crabs came and found you out in the middle of a snowy mountaintop. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
crabs. It was crabs. Why is there crabs up here? This is. I thought it was bad enough with bees, you know?
I would say that in the setting, you would all know that Sindhu is a species or a people in the world called beast bitten. They manifest as various animal types, and he's a crab one.
Well, we best get inside before the weather picks up too much.
Yeah, I hack off Sindhu's head with my sickle and stick it in a bag.
The little crabs. I'll pick one up and I'll say, I will not eat these as they are not clean. But does anyone else engage in shellfish?
Absolutely.
I hear the blue crabs are quite tasty.
Well, I mean,
So she'll
Waste not, want not.
gather them up and like get him in their robes. Obeha, I assume you know how to cook these foul sea creatures.
If he's got a pot inside, I can stew some up.
I'm not sure how much of a meal they'll make, but Caitlin, what are you doing right now?
I turn my attention to the cabin. I'd like to kind of walk around the cabin, looking in the windows to see if there's anything in there that we should be concerned about.
I love it. Let's do a hunt roll. So the hunt roll is that's the die roll you'll be doing most of the time in the game. If we take a look at the rules, you get one die just because you're looking or asking a question. You get another die if you have a skill or a piece of equipment that would be helpful.
I have I'm pretty useful with anything trickery related. I'm always I used to perform a lot of practical jokes as a kid, and
Look for traps and things like that.
Yeah.
I like it. Go ahead and roll hunt 2.
Let's do it. There we go. All right, I get I believe 8.
We're just looking for the high die, and the high die is a 6. So that's the best result you can get. So the way this works is whenever you ask a question about the world or search or otherwise engage in any kind of information gathering, you roll the hunt roll dice, and the only thing that's at stake is whether you find a token or encounter something terrible. What you learn is always up to me. No matter what the dice say, what you learn is what you learn. But for a 6, you get a hunt roll token. So go ahead and note your token on the hunt token part of your character sheet. And you don't encounter anything terrible, so that's good. And then I'll tell you what you learn. The cabin is safe. The doors are not rigged with any kind of traps. Glancing through the windows, it just looks like a pretty simple 2-room cabin. There's no immediate danger as far as entering the cabin goes. I'll also tell you this. Since you said you were walking around the cabin, you will notice a curious thing in the landscape. It stands out because it's otherwise it's just trees and snow. A little ways away, there is a little formation of stones, like a little tiny cairn or a road marker or something. Just some stones kind of stacked in a little pyramid. That's an unusual thing that you see. What's everyone else doing? Akale?
Yeah, like I said, I think she's gathering up, just making sure that I'm not on mute, which I'm not. I think she's gathering up the crab. Or no, she's after handing them to Obeya, because like, why would she hold on to these terrible things? I think because of my skill in paths, I want to like scout around and see if there are any unexpected tracks in the snow. Perhaps there was someone, perhaps he came with someone and then they split up or something. So that's what I'll do.
Kaylin, do you point out the standing stones to the group? Or the little rocks?
Yeah, I do. I kind of mentioned that in my town, we use those as funeral markers, kind of like headstones. Do you guys want to check that out? Oh, by the way, the cabin's safe as hell.
Oh, yes. Did you say stones?
Yeah, yeah, it's like you can see it right there. I kind of squint really hard and I point my finger.
Akale,
Thank
you
you.
can go. You
And I
can
think
take,
she just bolts.
yeah, you can take a hunt roll. Go ahead and roll. I guess it would be 2 dice because of your skills. Go ahead and roll hunt 2.
A token, but I encounter something terrible with double
Indeed.
5s.
So the 5 is what we care about. I don't know how terrible it is, but it's ominous. I'll tell you that. You do find a path, a literal path, and you by the stones. The stones have there are footprints in the snow. Those footprints are not going to be there forever because of the way the weather's kicking up, but there are footprints in the snow. They are footprints, not boot prints, and they are human. 5 toes, pad of the foot, heel, and they are coming from the tree line to this little stone marker, and then they stop.
I think I pull out my little sickle sword and I'll just like wave and like point with it that way.
Sybil, what are you doing right now?
I think I would have followed Akale to this group of these stones, and if the footprints, literal footprints, were pointed out to me, I think I'd start digging out around the stones, like digging the snow out around them with my bucket, because I have a bucket, in order to get a look at what, how deep they go, what they look like.
I like that. Make a hunt roll with 2 dice because of the bucket.
Yes, bucket. It's a 5.
There's nothing around the stones. You dig around the snow, and it's just a little stack of rocks, and there's nothing particularly special about the stack of rocks, as best you can tell. But you are, from your position, you are looking at the side of the cabin, and there is something that is unusual, I would say. Laying in the snow is an enormous mattock. You know what a mattock is? Like a big hammer. A big iron mattock. And there are flecks of blood in the snow. It's an unusual thing. And you get a token, of course. Beha, the weather is kicked up quite a bit at this point. It's getting very, very hard to see. It's getting very, very cold. You are going to have to take shelter probably soon. And also the sun's going down as well. So Beha, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, I grab the handful of crabs, heading into the cabin, taking a quick survey around, I guess, since I'm using my vigilance, since I was surprised once already today, just kind of like scoping it out and digging around, looking for a kitchen / fire.
I'll give you a hunt roll in a minute,
area.
but I'm going to tell you that stepping into the cabin, that presents the first set goal.
Oh, cool.
Your set goal is, I have it written down in my notes. I'm going to go read it exactly from my notes. Safely pass the night. That's it. Now, you can spend 3 tokens and your night will be safe and uneventful. Or not. That's sort of the set goal right now. But in any case, you're in the cabin. Obeha, go ahead and roll a hunt roll. You can take 2 dice because of vigilance.
3.
Obeha, I'll give you the basic layout of the cabin. It is a fairly small cabin, simple 2-room affair. The front room has a hearth and a table. The back room has a bed with a trunk at the end of the bed, and there's a rug that it's all on top of. There is a small fire going in the hearth. Sindhu was, keeping warm. But you have to encounter something terrible.
I
For
have
just
an
a
idea.
brief moment.
Go for it.
For just a brief moment, you hear something scratching beneath your feet. It's quick. Maybe it's just a mouse or something, but you just hear a.
Yeah. Lots of critters in the area. Probably not the it's not the tiniest of cabins, so it's probably just a rat.
A snow vole or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
weasels.
Everyone else, the weather's getting pretty bad. It looks like it's going to be a blizzard. In fact, what is everyone doing right now? Those tracks are getting covered up very rapidly by the snow. Oh, you're muted, Akale. You're muted on Zoom.
I really want to check out those tracks. Really want to check out those tracks. And if nobody's picking up on my not so subtle body language, I guess I will just go by myself.
You can certainly go by yourself. There is a danger of getting caught in the blizzard if you're willing to take that risk.
I do want to prove myself because still red-faced from the falling asleep thing. I asked Akela, I asked her, like, do you think we're going to be safe if we do that? Like, do you think that's because my concern is that we'll just freeze to death out there.
My concern is that we won't be safe if we don't do it, because whatever is out there could come and find us.
That scans. I volunteer to go out there. I pull out my throwing knives.
We can turn around after a bit, but it's disappearing as we speak.
Then we should go.
Sybil was halfway to the cabin by the time Akela finished her sentence asking for people to help.
So you're not helping.
No.
Very good. So Akale and Kaylin are going to follow the tracks. You'll have to get a move on it because they're going to be covered up pretty soon. But as long as you don't delay, you can follow them. Especially because once they lead into the woods, the trees protect from the wind and snow a little bit. We'll pick up with the two of you in a bit. Sybil, you're at the cabin with Obeha. Sybil, I'll note that the window that faces out, we'll say it's the west side, that's you can see the mattock in the snow out the window. But you're there. Yeah, what do you do?
I would like to look in all of the regular places that people stash stuff, stash treasure in a cabin, under the bed.
There's a
in the
trunk as
mattress.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a trunk. You can just open the trunk if you want. You can also poke your head into the bed. I think that's fine as well.
Yeah, I think I'll check the
what do
bed
you
and
want
the
to do?
mattress first, because
Okay.
that's where people store the real money.
Make a hunt roll.
And I don't think I have anything particularly. No.
You got a 4. Take your token. So you said you're getting down below to look under the bed.
Yes.
You get down, and there's nothing under the bed. But you do hear beneath the floorboards.
Oh, I have bad experiences with opening up trapdoors to cellars. I'm gonna bang on the floor. Just like a bam, bam, bam.
The noise gets instantly quiet.
You're right back there.
I think there's a cellar or something. Might be something down there. Might be treasure. Might be evil.
Might
Or
be evil
perhaps-
treasure.
Might be evil treasure. I suppose we should probably look for a cellar door.
The other two coming in from the cold. Stew's almost ready.
Are you making stew?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Akale and Kaylin, following the tracks back, because you're going in the opposite direction of the tracks, right? The tracks were coming towards the stones and you're going the other way. That's no trouble. It will be getting back to the cabin will be the tricky part. So you're okay for heading out. I think at this point, I'd like to just check in with the two of you in terms of like how you look and how you, like, how have you prepared for this weather, or have you prepared for the weather? Like, are you totally unprepared for this, or how do we see you right now?
I got a pretty warm winter coat. I look very young. We could be elves, right?
There are no such thing in the world. There are Feyborn though. You can be a Feyborn, which is kind of the same thing. So
Sweet, there you go. So yeah, I have 20 years. I look very young. I'm only 100 years old, and I'm just bothering Akela a lot. I'm like, you think the other guys are mad at me? Are you mad at me about the sleeping thing?
Oh, no, no. I'm not mad at you about the sleeping thing.
Okay, cool. What do you tell me though?
I would tell you if I was mad about the sleeping thing.
Nice.
I love how Kaylin keeps bringing it up. Like no one else has mentioned it.
Yeah.
Akale, how do you look in terms of like just, have you prepared for the weather?
Yeah, I think as best as she can. I think she generally wears like semi-traditional 19th century Syrian garments is what I was what I googled, and that's the picture that I came up with. And I think that her stiff wool cloak is, I think, what she figured she would need in this cold weather, because that's what you wear on cold nights there. So I think while she's wrapped up in that cloak, I think she's probably fairly warm, pulling one of her scarves around her face to keep her nose and mouth and cheeks from getting frostbitten.
You go about I'd say it's about maybe like a quarter of a mile in the woods, and the tracks lead you to a little clearing in the woods where you see a henge, large standing stones, a trio of them, lightly dusted with snow. They have runes, words of some sort carved on them, but at this distance you can't tell what they say. And there is a sentry there, an armored individual, very tall, like 9 feet tall, dragging an enormous mattock in the snow as it makes a slow, heavy-footed kunk, kunk, kunk patrol around these rocks.
Is he barefoot?
No, he's armored boots and is big.
I have a lot of expertise in rituals. I was wondering, does that apply to just purely magic, or is it more like can I tell what's going on here based on?
Yeah, you can interpret. Yeah, you can absolutely interpret rituals to mean like routines or whatever, right? That's perfectly fine. Make a hunt roll since you're asking a question. Go ahead and roll 2 dice. Six. Take your token. I will tell you that The sentry is guarding the area, but the sentry, let's see how I want to phrase this. The sentry is guarding the area, but there's something about his appearance or the scene that makes you think he's not always here. What is it that makes you think he's just here right now?
Can I see his face?
It's covered by a helm.
Can I see his eyes?
Sure.
I would say it's probably how troubled his eyes look. Like he looks sad. I'm
Mm.
thinking he probably has something on his mind, and it's probably not related to this particular place that he's supposed to be guarding.
I like it. There's a set goal here, which is just for this little area. The set goal in this little area is to locate the king beneath the stones. That's it. Now, your characters have no idea what any of that means. That's strictly a player thing. But I am curious, Akale, this guy looks like he's serious business. What are you doing right now? Doesn't seem aware of you yet.
I think we should go. Like, it is unlikely that this, even though he may not be here, I don't think that the hinge is going anywhere. And if we don't get back, we may not. But I am good with paths, and I have broken branches on the way back, so it should be easy to find our way here.
Yeah, let's get the hell out of here.
We should.
I'm going to have you do a risk roll to get back, but we'll come back to that in a bit. Sybil and Odeha. So Sybil, I'll remind you that there is a bed, a trunk, a rug. You've heard something beneath the floorboards. Let's just have that scene. Let's just pick up.
I take a big whiff of stew. Oh, that smells really good. Crab stew?
Best I could do under the circumstances. I hope they're edible.
Are you using pieces of Sindhu for this stew? Or...
No.
Okay.
just the dog-sized crabs that we fought.
well, they shrunk back to little.
Oh, they shrunk back. Okay,
little
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, while we're chatting, I am using the handle of my sickle to bang on the floor, kind of looking for something that sounds like it might be a trapdoor.
Yeah, there's clearly something under the rug.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard a rat or a weasel or something down there. It's probably just skittering around.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick the rug aside.
There is indeed a trapdoor underneath the rug. There's a bracket to put like a chain and a lock on, but there's nothing on it. It seems like it could lift right up.
Do you want to take a look, or do you want to wait for the others?
I mean, if there's something really expensive down there, it might make it easier if it's just us.
That is true. That is true.
All right.
All right.
As I always say, no guts, no glory.
All right.
I'm gonna
This
hook
time I will
the-
be ready for whatever's.
I'm gonna stand on the side of the door where the hinges are and hook
Have
my sickle
Javelin.
around the handle and sort of pull it towards myself so it comes up like that towards me to give me a little bit of a shield.
A problem. It doesn't lift. It's locked from the other side. Whatever's in there locked itself in there.
I'm gonna stomp on it. Hey,
There's no reaction.
we know you're down there. Stomp, stomp.
Nothing.
Did you find anything in that chest in the bedroom?
No, I'm gonna go look now.
Yeah, I was gonna do that too. Maybe there's an opening in the bottom or something. Who knows? Let's take a look.
So Beha, what do you do? Just pop the chest open?
Yeah, if it's poppable.
When you pop, it is indeed, it opens right up. When you open up the chest, the room, there's just a, and the room is filled with yellowish spores that just burst out of the chest and fill the room. Akale and Kaylin, you are doing your best to navigate back to the cabin in increasingly bad weather. You have very limited visibility right now. And Kaylin, if you look over your shoulder, the sentry doesn't seem like he's getting any further away. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back and do some risk rolls. So we have a couple of risky situations in play right now. Let's start with Akale and Kaylin trying to navigate back to the cabin. Now, Akale, I think the way this is going to go mechanically is we're going to do a risk roll. You'll be the principal die roller, Akale, and then if you need a help die from Kaylin, you can get a help from Kaylin, but we'll start with you. Let's do the risk roll. I think we have, are the rules of the game anywhere on this character keeper? I don't know.
Usually there's a section where you can kind of hover over.
Yeah, I thought so, but I
But-
don't see that here.
Yeah.
I think the Dark Keeper has that. Anyway, I'll just speak aloud. It'll be fine. All right. So the first thing we have to do here, Akale, is we get to say what we think could go wrong if you fail. And so everyone but you, Devin, gets to speak on this. So everyone gets to offer their ideas about what could happen if you fail. Dog, Mark, Amanda, any thoughts?
I'm going to say maybe we get back to the cabin a little bit too late to help out with whatever's going on there.
Yeah, that might be the case anyway, but we'll see. We'll play it out. Sybil, what do you think? Or Amanda, what do you think?
I think the worst thing that can happen is you get turned around and you're actually going away from the cabin.
I think you just encounter the sentry guy.
Yeah, it's even worse than that. The sentry just appears in front of them.
That's good. Yeah, I like
between them and the cabin.
Yeah, that's good. All right, well, that's just a open discussion. Nothing is settled yet. Now we talk about dice. So Akale, you get a light die if what you're doing is within your skills, or you have an equipment that would help you, or you're using the environment in some way. You described actually breaking the branches. And so I think even if you didn't have a skill in paths, I don't know if you do or not, even if you didn't have a skill in paths, breaking the branches would give you that light die. So you get your light die regardless. You've got one light die. And you get a second light die if you accept a devil's bargain from one of us. Everybody gets to make an offer here. So whoever wants to say, no matter what, this happens. I'm going to go real hard. I'm going to go real hard and say, no matter what, you encounter the sentry. So.
And the stakes are them getting back to the cabin safely?
Yeah. So like, yeah. The devil's bargain has to be something that can happen whether they do or whether they don't. So.
No matter what, you discover more stones with runes carved in them and you recognize them from the cult.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah.
I'm going to go simple and say, no matter what happens, someone gets a little bit of frostbitten, maybe loses a finger or two.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's simple, but it's effective, I think. Dog, do you have an offer?
Nah, not as good as the frostbite thing.
You have 3 offers on the table, Devin. Either run into the sentry, run into some more stones that are connected to your cult, or someone's losing a finger.
I mean, I definitely want to tie this cult in to the story. 100, of course I do. Cult. I would have gone for frostbite if cult wasn't brought up. So
you've got 2 light dice, and I'm going to make you roll a dark die as well because what you're doing is inherently dangerous because of the weather. So go ahead and roll 2 light, 1 dark on the risk roll.
2, not 20 light, 2 light.
That's just 2. A 5, a 3, and a 1. Now, let me tell you what your options are here. A 5 is a success, but it's not a full success. So there's a complication related to succeeding, which we'll have to deal with. Kaylin, since you're there, you can help out and contribute a help die. And if your help die gets a 6, then it's a full success. But if your help die matches the dark die, meaning you get a 1, then your ruin goes up, Kaylin. So that's up to you, dog, whether you want to try that for a 1 in 6 chance of improving it. I will tell you what the complication is, though, so you can make a more informed decision here. Also, Akale, you can add another dark die and reroll all of them because your dark was not high. So the complication, you're going to succeed, but you're going to drop something from your pack in the snow. It's my choice what you drop.
Yeah, I decide to help out.
Kaylin's going to help. Go ahead and roll a help die, Kaylin. If you accept the help, you don't have to accept the help, Akale, if you don't want. It's up to you, but yeah.
Oh, I'll accept help.
Kaylin, go ahead and roll first. Hey, look at that. 6. Good. That's what you want. Good. All right. Hey, success. So
Woo!
you are going to successfully navigate back. You're going to run into some more stones, which I'll get to in a bit. But first of all, I just want to know, Akale, you've already kind of described how you plan on getting back by breaking the branches. But Kaylin, once you realize it's going a little sideways, what do you do to help out?
I kind of very nervously, like everything Akale is doing, I'm also doing. You know, kind of looking for the broken branches and stuff. But if I see that she's not quite getting it, I'll just very politely say, well, is that it over there? Just very nervously, like doing everything that she's doing, just backing her up.
I love it. And here, Devin, I have to ask you a little bit about the cult. You're an escaped cultist. What can you tell me about this cult? Or think about it for a bit and then let me know. I'm going to cut over to Obeha Sybil. Sybil, you're going to be the principal roller since you opened the chest. Spores explode out of the chest into the cabin. Obeha, you can help with the spores, but Sybil, you can tell immediately upon breathing some of them in that they are poisonous. You can feel them searing through your lungs. Sybil, what are you going to do?
Did Obeha open the chest or was it me?
I think it was you.
I did.
Oh, did Obeha open it? Oh, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then Obeha, you're the roller then.
Yeah.
Obeha, what are you going to do?
Just back away, pulling up whatever cloth I have left on me over my face. And I think also, like, if Sybil was behind me, like immediately backing up with her, using the protection,
pushing out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, I like
making
that.
sure we both get out of the way.
Everybody gets to say what could go wrong here.
Does it extend so far as like whatever's down there is cannibalistic?
You mean like whatever is down below the floorboards?
Yeah, exactly. Is that possible?
I guess I'd be curious, like how it connects up to the spores. Like how does like closing up the chest connect to that? If you can make a good case for it, I'm into it. But
no, I think you're right. I don't think I can.
It would be a good devil's bargain though, because devil's bargain doesn't have to have a direct connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I see.
I will say, I'll keep it real simple. You inhale a lung full of spores, and it, you get a condition from it at the very least, maybe worse.
Yeah, that seems
What if
pretty
the
bad.
spores were like the kind of fungus that takes over your brain a little bit?
I
Like,
love
you know,
it.
the spores
Gross.
where
Yeah.
they grow out of the rat's brains and stuff.
Yeah. Or like insects in the Amazon.
Or,
Yeah.
eye stalk. Yeah.
Yeah. It turns you into part crab.
Yeah, maybe it's
This is how he got beast bitten. Oh
that
no.
might be it. Yeah.
I love
Left
it.
some bad crabs in the chest.
These are all good ideas. I think, I think we'll play with it. I like basically inhaling some spores and bad shit happens feels about right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about dice. So Obeha, you do have protection, which is pretty good, and you have speed as well. So I'll give you your first light die.
Yeah.
Devil's bargains. Dog, do you want to make that offer of connecting it up to the things underneath whatever's under the floorboards?
Sure, I'll make that offer.
So give us specifically, what do you think could happen here? What's the offer?
I'm thinking no matter what That thing down there is going to have cannibalistic tendencies.
I love it. Yeah. It ramps up the danger of whatever's going on down in the basement. I like that. I'm gonna second that. I think everyone's
Yeah, I
seconding
think
this
I'm in
one.
agreement. That's
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah,
okay, you've got
I
one
gotta
off for
take that.
Obey, huh? All right.
Yeah, gotta take it. I love it.
You got 2 light dice. I think the dark die is automatic. Go ahead and roll risk 2-1.
Cool. Risk 2-1. It's a 5.
5 light. That's not too bad. The complication is going to be you'll take a condition. It won't be a horrible condition, but you are going to take a condition. If you want to add a dark die and to avoid that, you can roll again and to avoid it.
I think a condition is fair.
Sybil, do you want to try to help? You have to get 6, but
Yeah, I think
it worked out for
I would
Kaylin though.
Yeah. I think I'm going to try and help. I think I'm going to help by doing my tadpole ritual. I have
Oh, yeah.
ritual tadpole, which is I keep my own mouth closed to allow a creature to breathe regardless of the environment. So I think I'm going to try and allow Obeha to breathe without breathing in the spores, like regardless of the spores.
Oh, that's really good. I like it. Roll your help die. Let's see how it goes. It was a 1. That was no help, but
I feel like I do, I do my ritual and I'm closing my mouth, and it does allow Obeha to breathe, but just breathing in even more.
Just breathing in
spores.
more spores. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obeha, do you want to add a dark die to try to get a better result here?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's do it.
All right. Roll risk
not?
2 light, 2 dark.
2-2.
Still 5. You can keep going. There's nothing to stop you because dark is still low.
Yeah, and if the dark die is the highest one, then I do a ruin roll. Is that right?
If it's the highest one and it's higher than your ruin goes up.
Okay, I'm good with condition.
All right. You get just a little bit of the spores. I'm going to give you the condition. We will give it meaning, but I'm going to tell you what it is editorially. It is the golden hunger.
All right.
But otherwise, describe how you're able to safely deal with these spores.
Yeah, I think in my in my eagerness to get both of us out, we actually fall to the floor and are able to scuttle backwards since the spores are all up there.
And then
May
you
I
just kinda
add
wait
that we're
'em out.
scuttling backwards like crabs?
Yeah, like crabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does Sybil get that condition too for the help die? Or is she good?
Sybil's good. It's just you.
Okay, good. Cool.
Otherwise, you just let the spores wait till they fall to the ground. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. They're safe at that point. You can wipe them up at that point. Let's pick up with Akale and Kaylin. Akale, tell me about this cult that you escaped.
I remember to unmute myself that time. I think the cult was. It is a secret order, or it was supposed to be a secret order. Oh, there we go. And it involves human sacrifice, and it's supposed to be the sacrifice of, let's just say it's supposed to be a blood relative of whoever joined, right? Like that is a way of like showing that you've given up your family, you're coming to this new cult, right? So and it's about it's not just about blood, but it's about the web that connects us all. And so I think part of that cult is just like, well, blood is a connection, right? Like you are tied to your ancestors through this web, but you can also create connections. And so we've got to prune these connections in such a way that the I don't know if there's a being that's supposed to come or a great age or something, but like something will be revealed.
Yeah, it's good. No, I like it. Good.
And I think the way she escaped was that the mother realized like, oh no, this is a cult. I have married someone who has deceived me, and I was told last night that we have to kill you to move
Oh,
forward.
so you were like
So
the presumed victim. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's
yeah.
interesting.
And I think mom sacrificed herself for me, which meant the ritual went wrong, which meant they had to punish her, and that would be by severing her connection from the family, and like she's not even talked about anymore.
I love it. The two of you, Kaylin, you'll see them first. As you're making your way back to the cabin, Kaylin, you're definitely on the right track. You might even see the cabin in the distance through the trees. Kaylin, you will notice, you did notice it before, but you'll notice a little ways, a little sort of like perpendicular in the direction you were going. You'll see another one of these henge stones, but it's just one, not a grouping of them. What do you do, Kaylin?
I go to Akela, I say, hey, I kind of want to check out that hedge stone. Can I check out the hedge stone?
I didn't realize I was in charge. Yes,
I-
but make it quick.
I thank Akela and I do it, and I try to make it quick.
Kaylin, you can jump over to that henge, and the stone it's very similar to the three that you saw earlier. It's a little smaller. It does have some writing on it. Do you have a skill that would allow you to interpret symbols or things in another language?
I was thinking me studying magic as much as I have, having that ritual skill. Maybe runes have something to do with that.
I'm into that. I'll let you have the hunt roll in any case. Go ahead and roll. I would have just told you if you had a stronger skill, but with that skill, I'll let you do the roll with 2 dice.
5, I think, is the highest.
Take your token and you encounter something terrible. The terrible thing is something that I will let you decide whether you tell Akale or not. There is something at the stone, laid at the stone, almost like an offering, that is very similar to something Akale wears around her neck. Akale, what do you wear around your neck that Caleb would recognize?
Do you think the actual amulet of protection that she wears around her neck?
Oh, I see. It might have some kind of
That's actually one of my combat equipment.
Does it have
an amulet?
Is there something like an identifying mark on it, or something that would it particularly be relevant to the cult story?
Oh yeah. Well, it would be relevant. Yeah, because all the stuff that she stole was stuff from the cult, right? Like she got out of there and it was just like, if I've got to survive, I'm just gonna grab a handful of things, some weapons, some whatever.
So what's the symbol?
That amulet of protection is from the cult. Let's say it's a spider with 2 blades. Let's say it's a spider with a little sickle dagger and a big sickle sword, which are the 2 weapons that I ended up stealing.
Okay, good.
And that's what the spider cuts the webs with.
Yeah. Kaylin, you see this amulet, very, very similar symbolic markings to the one Akale wears. Also, Akale has weapons that are like this as well. Kaylin, do you take it? Do you keep that to yourself? What do you do?
I'll call Akela over, Akale over, and let her know, hey, it looks like they've been sacrificing your people here. And then I realize how insensitive that is, and I'm like, sorry.
I'll also
that's what
tell
it
you
looks like. I could be wrong.
There's some words on the stone as well, which I will tell you what they say. You cannot interpret them perfectly. Let me take a look at Akale's skills, though. I don't know if patterns really would help. I will tell you, you don't have a perfect interpretation here, but I'll give you a kind of a pigeon version of it. You can make out, we raise these stones to draw the attention of he who walks among stones. There's other sentences that you can't quite make out, but you can make out a color. You make out the symbol for the color gold.
Okay.
Something about, I share all that with her and I say something about gold. Is gold a thing in your religion? And also ignore me. I don't know anything about sacrifices. It's probably fine.
Oh, I've definitely already done that.
Thank you.
The cabin is in sight. The weather's getting no better. You are going to have to go take refuge. What do you do with that amulet? Do you take it or you leave it?
I'll let Kayla decide.
Mhm.
Akala.
Sorry, I was trying to type down the we raise these stones thing. Can you say that again? And someone's already done it. Wow, what am I?
Yeah. Well, are you going to take the amulet? Kaylin's letting you decide.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. Yes.
You can take the amulet. It's worth 1 gold actually if you sell it. So whoever keeps it, just note the amulet in your found equipment and then note that it's worth 1 gold. And let's get everybody back in the cabin. Kaylin, as you head back to the cabin, you can't help but notice that bloody mattock laying in the snow, which looks really, really similar to the sentry's mattock. Just FYI.
You guys think like the sentry comes here? You think the guy that we killed and the sentry are like friends or? Oh, by the way, there's a sentry.
You might walk in on Obehan Sybil like mopping up spores off the floor.
It's all good. Everything's fine here. It's all good.
There's a what? What are you going on about?
It's a giant man in armor out there. He's got that bloody hammer outside, but he's got another one. I tell everybody about what I suspect is a human sacrifice. I once again apologize to Akala, and I catch everybody up to speed.
The guy you saw has the mattock.
He does.
Has a mattock.
Does,
So,
yes.
who does this one belong to?
I don't know.
Do you think maybe Sindhu took one of them down? There was more than one sentry?
You think Sindhu was a sentry?
Hmm.
I mean, I've seen people be bees, so.
Was
Never
there
know.
any similarity in how Sindhu was dressed and how the sentry was dressed?
None. The sentry was not dressed for the weather, for one thing. It was just in like kind of blackened iron armor. It was also very tall and big. Sindhu was like man-sized.
Yeah, we took down Sindhu without too much trouble. I don't think we could do that with them.
Yeah, I feel like no.
Like the mattock is the size of Sindhu. Like it's big, right? It's huge.
Right.
Well, we do have another problem before we get to the stew. There's something down there. It's making noise.
Oh, was there anything in the chest besides the spores?
Great follow-up question. Yes, there is indeed stuff in the chest. Let me take a look at my notes here real quick.
When you say there's something in the basement, do you mean something good, like
sounded like rats?
Bread that I could eat?
Oveha, the chest.
Rat.
Inside the chest, there are 2 things. There are, there's 3 things. There's a bundle. There's like essentially like a pack. It was probably Sindhu's like traveling pack. There's also something from additional equipment. I'll let you choose. Basically, you can just pick something from the little backpack equipment drop downs and add it to your found equipment. But perhaps most intriguingly and most tantalizingly, there is in the chest a crown of smoky black crystals woven in bands of tarnished gold.
Fancy. Yeah, I will take that crown.
You all can have the tents and stuff.
Yeah. We'll split it even. You guys can have the tents.
You can have the crowbar. I'll have the crown with gold and crystals. Are you going to keep that, Abeja?
Yeah.
All right. It's a black crystal crown with gold. You can put that in your found equipment. Do you have any kind of skill like appraisal or something that might tell you the value of it, or does anyone have such a thing?
Nothing that
Not
would
really.
let me guess the value.
Yeah, and I'm not going to tell you the value then, but it looks valuable though. I'll tell you that. It looks old. Like it looks like it's from the ancient world or something.
Can I do a ritual related hunt roll to decide like what culture this comes from or what the story behind it is?
Oh, interesting. I will. I mean, I'll let you just ask the question and roll a single die if you want. I don't know if any of your skills would get into like history or such a thing. If you want to just take a 1 die hunt roll, you certainly can do that, just to see if you can call up the story.
I got a 3 on that.
You encounter something terrible.
Ah, yes, forgot about that.
Kaylin, you glance out the window and notice that the mattock is no longer there in the snow.
I sound the alarm. I go, help, help! There's no mattock there.
You otherwise are not able to come up with any recollection of the crown.
Like it got covered by snow, or someone
Like
took
I
it.
think someone took it, and I calmed down real quick. I realized, okay, I'm a count. I got to act like an adult here. We're
Any
probably in a lot of
footprints or
danger.
Drag marks that you saw?
Any footprints or drag marks out there?
At a glance, no, but the weather's getting pretty bad, so it's hard to tell.
I shake my head.
Who's taking the additional backpack equipment? You get
I'll
to
take
add.
it since I was there to open up the chest.
Yeah, just
Uh,
grab something from the drop downs and put it in your found equipment.
Let's see what looks fun.
And then there's also his gear is in there as well. Probably the most interesting thing about his gear, there's just like rations and other things that are of no real interest, but Sindhu has Lord Bracken's ledger.
I would like to read that, but
Yeah,
also I'm worried about the thing outside. But I would also like to read that.
You can take the ledger and add it to your found equipment for now. Lord Bracken's
maybe we
ledger.
can get paid a little bit extra depending on what's in there.
Yeah, the mattock is no longer in the snow. The visibility has been reduced to just mere feet outside the window at this point. The sun is down, and the wind is whipping up very loudly and heavily, rattling the wood of the cabin. The thin crab broth is done, no doubt providing an incredible amount of nutrients to everyone involved. Is anyone going to go deal with the mattock situation, or are you all just going to lock the door and batten down the hatches?
If nobody has a problem with this, I'd like to use my ritual fountain, which a forceful spring of water bursts forth from a location you touch and freeze over the entire door.
Oh, I like it. I'm into that. Yeah, you can do that. I don't need you to roll. You can just do that. So you're basically like creating a gout of water and then causing it to freeze in front of the door.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah, it's
good.
cold enough that I think once it gets up to the door, it's gonna freeze.
What about the windows? There are 3 windows, 2 in the front room and 1 in the back.
Oh, can I do those too?
You're just gonna seal yourself inside the cabin. Is that the plan?
At least until the snowstorm's over. Akale, do you have another idea?
Oh, I was looking for the race. Well, are there beds or cots in here? Because we can
There's a
sleep
single
on
bed. There's a
mattresses on the
single bed. There's a single bed, and yeah, there's 2 rooms. The front room has a table and the hearth fire, and the back room has a bed and a trunk.
Then
Right.
I think we can throw the mattresses on the floor unless the count needs
Yeah, the
to
Count
be
Fantasy Boy
above
have the
us.
mattress.
Oh no, please!
And
I'm just a dude. Please, just call me Kalen, and I'll sleep on the floor.
then we can rip up the bed frame and go Night of the Living Dead on the place.
I've listened to that Bard's Tale. Let's do it.
Batten down the hatches.
So you're busy doing your best to create defenses around the cabin. I think that's a legit thing to do. Some time is going to be passing, though. It is nighttime now. I will remind you of your set goal. You have 2 set goals now, one out in the woods and one here in the cabin. And the one here in the cabin is to just safely pass the night. You can all collectively spend 3 tokens and it will be morning and everything will be fine. Or you can ride it out and see how it goes.
I only have 1, but I'm happy to throw it in there.
I'll throw in 1 as well.
I'll throw in a token.
Very good. If you all spend the tokens, the night will pass with no danger, at least. It may not be uneventful, but it will at least be safe. Let's talk about watch.
Done.
Let's talk about watch. Each of you will take a watch, I assume, in the night. I'm curious what you do to pass the time while you're on watch. Everyone think about it and let me know what you do.
I play fetch with Gerald, who is my goat, by the way.
I forget you have that goat with you.
Yeah, he's there.
You just pull out your goat out of there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to try to communicate with whatever is underneath the floorboards, and if I'm not like getting a response, I would like to use my ritual compel to kind of like force it to talk to me, if that's possible.
Oh, I like that. There's no immediate danger, so you don't need to roll. I'll just let you do what you're going to do. But that's a good scene, though. We'll come back to that. Obeha, what do you do on your watch?
I think split my time between just repairing my net and adding new carvings to my mask, monstrous mask. Probably adding some crab carving to it, or like a little stalk or something.
Do you like wear this mask on a regular basis? Like, are you always wearing it, or
not always? I think I have it. I think, having said that, I think maybe I carve bits of things that I've encountered into it and only put it on like when I need to do something with it. Yeah.
Aglade, what do you do to pass the time on your watch?
I write in my coded diary. I assume I assume it is okay that I use some of my black and invisible ink, not as but like, oh, I just write things that have happened to me, and then like in the invisible ink, I'm just like, in case this gets found, like, also this happened and this happened,
right?
This happened, and this happened.
What is your thinking so far on like what the meaning of that amulet was that you all found at the other stone?
I think my first question would be, does it look like a sister to this amulet? Is it exactly the same, or is there
I think it's close enough.
If this weren't, like this might be an amulet of protection, but like the spider is altered and is holding slightly things, so this might be an amulet.
I'll let you decide.
Or something like
you can decide.
Let's say they're both amulets of protection, then, just to make it easy. So it's interesting that that's there. I think it's interesting that this cult seems to have a wider reach than I thought it was. I think probably initially I thought it was like localized to my homeland, and now I'm like, oh, this is not local. This is bigger. Or someone else made it here first. How would they have known I was coming if I didn't necessarily know when I left that I was coming here?
Yeah, it's good. Let's pick up with Kaylin's watch. Kaylin, I like your plan of trying to communicate with whatever's in the floorboards. Whatever's in this, I'll remind you, there's a trap door that was locked from the other side. So whoever is down in there, lock themselves in. What's your first approach to try to make contact?
I introduce myself. I say, "Hey, sir or ma'am."
Are you like whispering this in the floorboards? Like, is it a quiet, like you're whispering, or like what is this like?
No, I'm talking very loud in case they can't hear me. My name is Count Kalen Leodon of Leodon County. I took my hat off when I came in, but now I put it back on so I could tip it, and then I take it off again. And I introduce myself and I ask them if they need assistance.
No one is getting any sleep tonight because Kalen is loudly announcing himself to whatever is living in the floorboards of this little cabin, or underneath the floorboards of the cabin. Kalen, all you hear, and you have to press your ear down to the floorboards to even hear that, is just this like
Question. How is Gerald reacting to what's under the floorboards?
Oh,
He's
that's a
pretty
good-
smart.
That's a good question. I think he's probably like a cat or a dog, like very on guard about it, like always like looking down in that direction. Yeah,
So our fetch game isn't going very well.
yeah, yeah, he just keeps like focusing on what's down there, which you all decided to sleep on top of tonight. Kaylin, you just hear that noise. What do you do?
It's the hearing it that triggers this spell. I just kind of I just listen, and the hearing is enough to let me in. And I cast compel.
Is this like a Jedi mind trick thing, or do you? What does the spell look like? Is it just purely like psionic in nature, or like what is the deal?
Yeah, definitely something happens between the audible sounds coming out of the creature's mouth and it entering my brain. There's like a tether, and I'm able to send my will across the tether. And if it can talk, it'll try.
I will tell you two things. Whatever's down there, there's 12 of them. Whatever's down there, they have lost most of their sentience. But they managed to eke out one thing. They try to say more, but you can't. It's mostly unintelligible.
What is the so it's is there anything that I could understand from that, like a word or
Golden one.
oh, I see. I share this information with everybody, and I make the suggestion that when we're done here, we should burn this place down, put all of them out of their misery, and they are a danger to us and to anybody else that comes by this way. I hope you guys aren't squeamish about burning bodies, and I apologize.
I think I just flip over because I was trying to sleep while Kalen's doing all of this. I could just drown them right now.
Do you think you could do that like without in a safe way?
I just find a crack in the floor and pour water in.
I gotta tell you, Sybil, I think that's a great idea. I think this solves a lot of our problems. I will go to high five Sybil.
The voice.
I don't know how to high five.
The voice is making those vocalizations, and then it gets immediately quiet. Just stops.
Oh, by the way, golden one. Anybody know what that's about?
You hear a knock on the cabin door. Dunk, 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 dunk.
I shriek.
Someone is calling out in the storm. Hello? Hello? Is there someone in there? Hello? I got caught in the weather. I don't know how much longer I can stay out here. I was hoping that you might be able to offer me shelter.
Can I cast ritual to have him let me know if he's lying? No, not ritual. Compel. Are you trying to kill us?
Force a creature to perform or free a creature from. Oh, I see. I'm going to say no, but I will give you some helpful information in the doing.
I'll take it.
whatever this is, it is not subject to your magic.
I've learned not to
Hello?
trust strange voices. They can lead a man to the rocks or to their death.
It's very cold out here. I have food. I'm happy to share whatever I have. If you just please let me have shelter for the night.
It's bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Out of character, you're all safe for the night, just as a reminder.
Mm.
I would like to I know we kind of boarded up the windows and such. I would like to sort of poke my face out a little bit to try and see if I can see what this person looks like.
You see a young man. He's probably no more than 18 or 19 years old. He is only wearing a cloak. And that's it. He's got no shoes and no other covering. And he's walking around in a blizzard.
It's a naked guy.
And he does have a basket with food. He wasn't lying about that.
Bullshit. It's not a person.
He does have food though.
It's not real.
If he freezes to death, we can get the food in the morning.
What if it goes bad? What if it's like,
No, it's like a freezer. It's like an ice box.
It's not real. I don't even think it's real. We're gonna
Devin,
go out
you're
there.
muted.
Devin, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had unmuted, but I hadn't. While they're all talking, I will go up to the door and shout through it. We've sealed the door shut, so we can't let you in this way.
Well, that's certainly a very, very wise precaution to take in this part of the world where there's no one. But I'm happy to help you reestablish your defensive barrier if you would just breach it momentarily to allow me in. I got lost in the woods, you see.
If there's no one in this area, why are you here? Are you no one?
As I said, I got lost in the wood. I was with a caravan, and well, it's a long story. I'm happy to tell it to you, especially by your fire.
Well, come around the side. I'll pull down one of the boarded up windows.
He says, all right. He goes around to the side.
You guys can stop me at any time. I just figured like you guys were all arguing and I was just like, I was literally trying to sleep before this.
Do you let him in through a window?
Yeah. Unless anyone stops me.
I do that thing where I jump between you and the window and I like wave my hands like I say no. This isn't gonna work. That's not real.
Okay, then I will call out. I'm sorry, I would have let you in, but someone in here told me not to. You can talk to him if you want. And then I go back to my little bed and I lie down.
I think the young man is at the window now. His face is at the window. You can see now, Obeha, that he is also like very like healthy and tan, another unusual detail out here in the wintry cold. And his hair looks like fine spun gold. And he looks at you, Obeha. He actually calls to you from the window. He says, I think you want me to come in, don't you?
I might have your crown. Is that what you're saying?
I think you're probably very hungry, and I have brought food.
We had a good dinner at crab stew. Sorry you missed it.
You do have a condition, the golden hunger.
Oh, I do.
He's right. You are hungry.
Guess I am hungry.
Can I reach into my backpack and pull out some food for Obeya? Like, is that on the list? I think it's on the list.
You always have rations, yeah.
There you go. Also, I told this thing outside, it's like, I know what you are. You're the golden one.
I'm quite certain I don't know what you mean, but it's very, very cold out here. I would be most grateful if you would allow me to just allow me a small corner of your cabin. That's all I need.
Kayla, I think you might be right. I think it might be okay to let him in.
No. This is bad. You know, I would also like to reach in my backpack. I see a blanket as an option. I would like to take the blanket out and put it over the window, and like maybe like hang it like a blind, and we're just gonna ignore that, guys. I got to take the lead here. I'm so sorry. I don't want to. My father raised me to be a count, and I got to put my foot down. I think we're gonna ignore that guy.
Oh, are we
Sorry.
in your county?
Not technically, but
Pull the blanket down.
no, I try to stop Obeya from taking the blanket down.
So Akale has gone back to sleep. Sybil, Abeha, and Kaylin are arguing. Sybil, what are you doing?
I'm watching. I don't know what to do. Generally I would just let the person in, and if they cause trouble, I'd kill them. But I don't know. This is a weird situation. So I think I'm just popcorning, watching them fight.
I will
sounds
put
like-
on the crown.
You're putting on the crown.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Okay.
But that does make the scene more ridiculous. If Kaylin's like trying to
It's
pull
like,
rank,
if you're
and then you
count,
put on a
I'm
crown.
a king. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm king of this cabin.
I think the young man says, "All right then. I'm very sorry to hear that you're not willing to share your shelter with me. What a cruel world we live in, when desperate people such as myself can't even warm themselves by the fire." And you hear him walking off in the snow.
I sink back against the wall.
If we find a
toss
naked
open
guy
the
in the
window and yell
snow
after
tomorrow.
him. But after Kaylin sits down, come back.
Don't come back.
The rest of the night passes without incident. We're going to end the session with Gerald the goat being very agitated by something. You start to hear heavy footsteps in the snow. Walking. Conk, conk, conk. In a circle around the cabin. And we'll end there. Let's go ahead and do our debrief, which is called Stars and Wishes. Stars are things that we enjoyed about the session, either something about the game, something about the other characters, or anything you want, really, as many as you want. And wishes are things that you hope to see in the story next time. So whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I can go first. I have stars for everybody. Devin, the snowboarding thing on the giant crabs, awesome. Loved that. Did not expect it. It was beautiful. What a ridiculous moment. I really love how you're playing Count Kaelin. I think it's so easy to take a character that is a count and play them really cocksure and arrogant, and this really hesitant and not terribly secure version of a count is great fun. I have a wish to see when Kaylin does something completely totally badass, like how everyone's going to respond to that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Obeha, I like how gung ho that, or Marka, like how gung ho Obeha is. I think it's a really nice team for Sybil to be on. Team dive in head first. It's going to be great, because that's always great for forward momentum, maybe not great for staying out of trouble. But I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I like that you put on the crown. It's such a wonderful moment. Jason, the descriptions are super creepy. I hate everything about the cold. So just the descriptions of like walking out in the snow, it really get into me in a fun, creepy, I hate being cold way. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Thanks, Sybil. I appreciate it.
Any other stars or wishes?
Yeah, I can go. Yeah, like you said, everyone. The thing I like so much, I love so much every time we play this is the depth of character everyone just immediately grabs from just a few little pieces, and that's half on the system and half on the players, and y'all are doing an amazing job of just digging into the details and becoming that person, and then playing like just that person, not like random adventure guy. So it's really lovely to see. And Jason, yeah, all the bits of world building are really great. The descriptions, as always, great. Sound effects, amazing. Yeah, I was really enjoying the setting and the kind of claustrophobic environment we have now. And I think the wish is I want to find out more about this golden hunger, and yeah, trapped behind a rock and a hard place here. So just see what happens.
I'll go next. I had a really good time. I agree with Mark. I think everyone did a really good job, like grabbing like a detail from their character and just using that to springboard off the role play. I thought that was really, really good. It's always really interesting when you have a mostly brand new group of characters that to kind of see like how to see players like kind of sink into them and kind of what they're about, and that's always really fun to play with and see in the opening stages of a game. I do really quite like, Dog, how you're playing the Count. It's very like, it's like weirdly like naive and apologetic, and I think that's really fun. It's interesting. I love Devin. I love this, like, I love that we were able to inject this like sort of burgeoning lore about the cult and all that stuff. That was really, really fun and good. And I also really enjoyed I like it was actually really fun to split the group up in the beginning after you were done with Sindhu, because we got to see like kind of two different vectors of like danger, and I thought that was really, really interesting. I was really excited that one group followed the tracks, because even though you were not really in a place to like follow up completely on that, you like know something, there's something going on out there, and I think that's intriguing. And so that's also tied to my wish. I'm curious if you will all follow up on that next time or not. You don't have to, but it'd be interesting if you do. I think another wish is, I wonder if what you're going to do about the basement or the area beneath the cabin. I think that'll be interesting. And of course we have whatever is stalking around the cabin now, and this like, and also this like half naked, guy out in the blizzard. Like there's just a lot of like interesting little details. I know what they mean, but it's a fun kind of claustrophobic sort of mystery thing. And I'm just really having a good time with it. And it's my kind of I mean, I wrote it, so of course I like it, but like I'm happy that the tension is paying off. It all feels like it's there. We're getting like that tension, that claustrophobic feeling but also like with threads that like can be pursued, tantalizing threads. So overall really great time. Everyone's doing a great job.
I'll do really quick stars and wishes. Stars, I think specifically for Dog, for being okay with Akale like kind of talking down to him. That's not a Devin not liking Dog thing. It's just like she doesn't like him very much right now. And hopefully that is okay, but I like to play with that a little bit. And so my wish would be, if you feel like I'm being too harsh, you should let me know. My other wish is that I have Zoom updated so I can actually see everyone when they're talking, because I can't do that on this web version of it. So like I just see me and the person who's talking, and I'm sure there are all kinds of amazing facial expressions that I'm missing.
You can always go watch the video after, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's
No, Great, man. I'm definitely okay with it. I also like the idea that Caitlyn doesn't perceive that Akala doesn't like him, so that's kind of a cool
Yeah.
thing as well. But worried about it.
Yeah.
Any stars or wishes, dog?
Oh yeah, I really like the setting. I like the system. I appreciate getting the chance to play for once. I'm kind of a forever GM, so I appreciate it. Wishes is I wish I knew the system better. I did read Trophy Gold, but a lot of it kind of flew out of my head during the actual play, so I'll try to bone up on that. But yeah, the setting's great, man. I really like the setting. I like the adventure. So once again, appreciate the invite. Oh, and everybody did a great job too. It's a fun bunch of players. Much appreciated.
Yeah, a couple of quick last minute stars for Dog and Devin. For never having played this before, you're doing great.
You did great.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was yeah. I didn't feel at all that like there was any like friction or as far as that
Yeah.
goes. Yeah. Fabulous. Okay, great. Well, we're just a couple minutes over. So are there any other stars or wishes? Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to wave goodbye to anybody who's watching the YouTube video. Do the Queen
Bye.
wave. There we go.